Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller. Breaking news literally coming across my phone as we speak as I do the intro to the program. That's why the late start. So much to cover on the Tuesday edition of the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us live in Charlottesville, across the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network, your place for everything you need to know in Charlottesville, Central Virginia, and beyond. Scuba Boutique Dispensary, the dispensary of choice in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. It's located next to Rapture on the downtown mall. Scuba Boutique Dispensary, certificates of analyses for everything in the store. Go see David and his gorgeous wife for everything you need at Scuba Boutique Dispensary. So much I'm going to cover today on today's program, including breaking news I'm getting within City Hall literally as we speak. I will relay that to you in a matter of minutes. I will talk the future of the Avon Street corridor today on the I Love CVille Show. I have called High Street from the old Martha Jefferson Hospital to Freebridge. In fact, I will even take it a step further from Lexington Avenue and that gas station right off High Street. Is that Tarryton Oak gas station, Judah? Right there at the start of High Street? The High Street corridor I have dubbed the most underachieving, underperforming stretch of real estate in the city of Charlottesville. The Avon Street corridor, I'm going to dub the area of the city that has the most soon-to-boom potential. We'll explain why on today's edition of the I Love CVille Show. We have news from Virginia Tech and James Madison University. Spring semester COVID news to relay to you. More businesses in the city of Charlottesville and around Albemarle County and Central Virginia are going on the market, being listed for sale. We'll rattle some of those off to you today on the I Love CVille Show and the I Love CVille Network. That's also powered by Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine. Who's got your back? Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine undoubtedly has your back. Alex Urpí will join us for about 15 or 20 minutes in the 12:55 range. Judah Woodcower is our director. Of course, we will pick his big, beautiful brain today on the show. Look, the breaking news coming on to me from our friends inside the hall on the downtown mall. City Council is in the process of potentially naming another interim city manager today. The firm, as I continue to get text messages literally right now, the firm that was hired as the mercenary, hired gun, stopgap, has presented a short list to council for interim city managers. My contacts say that short list is being whittled down by councilors now in closed session. And my contacts say that announcement could come as early as today. Yet another interim city manager for Charlottesville, Virginia. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and listeners, we have the following. Gosh, you really have to challenge your memory to rattle off the city managers in Charlottesville. Maurice Jones, who is now the city manager in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Maurice Jones had a long run, the former NBC 29 sports broadcaster, as city manager of Charlottesville. He got forced out of the job, pushed out, kicked to the curb. Mike Murphy takes over as interim city manager for Mo Jones. From Mike Murphy, we went to Dr. Terrion Richardson, who lasted about a year on the job. Dr. Richardson is now suing the city of Charlottesville. From Dr. Richardson, we went to friend of the program, A-plus dude, all-around nice guy, talented individual, John Blair, the city attorney, who was promoted to interim city manager in Charlottesville. John Blair, A-plus guy, now the city attorney in Stanton, Virginia. That's Stanton, Virginia's benefit, getting John Blair on the payroll. From interim city manager John Blair, we had a cup of coffee with interim city manager Chip Boyles. Chip Boyles hit the road jack, got the hell out of Tombstone and Dodge right before a lawsuit from former police chief Rashal Brackney. Brackney's lawsuit, much like Richardson's lawsuit, is somewhere hanging in the ecosystem. Whether it's an empty threat or actual reality, only time will tell. Then Mark Woolley was supposed to come to the rescue, a former city executive from Pennsylvania. Woolley, the day before he takes the job, quits and never even comes to Charlottesville and compares our fine city to a box of Lucky Charms or Looney Tunes. He said that town, and I quote, is crazy town. I don't want anything to do with this. He quits before his first day on the job. Council, with their back against the wall, hires a mercenary hired gun firm called the Robert Bob Group. And now the Robert Bob Group has sent a list of a few people. My text messages are blowing up right now from City Hall. The Robert Bob Group sends a list of a few people to council, and they're in closed sessions right now, whittling down that list with an announcement coming as soon as later this afternoon, potentially, according to multiple people in City Hall. I mean, madre. Stability we have not yet. Neil Williamson, Johnny Ornalis, que pasa, and welcome to the program. Matthew Davis, hello, and welcome to the show. Charlottesville, Richmond, Crozet, Ivy, Short Pump, Louisa, Orange, McLean, Arlington, and Raleigh, North Carolina, all on the broadcast. So that's the dominoes. That's how the cookie crumbles. NBC 29 sports broadcaster Maurice Jones pushed out of the job. Loan forgiveness for higher education. City bypasses on recollecting that debt. Gives them a nice check to leave. Now Jones, the city manager at Chapel Hill. Mike Murphy comes in from an interim status. If memory serves correct, Murphy now employed by the CFA Institute in Charlottesville. From Mike Murphy, Dr. Richardson, who comes halfway across the country from Texas to Charlottesville, last a year on the job. Now he's suing the municipality. Attorney John Blair goes from a nice cush job as attorney of Charlottesville to interim city manager. He says, I can't deal with this nuts, bananas. Dude, I am getting text messages left and right from inside City Hall right now. John Blair says, I can't deal with this bananas that we call local government. He takes a job as counsel for Stanton. Chip Boyles comes from what? Chip Boyles, quick search right there. What commission did he come from? God, it's just bananas, absolutely bananas. Boyles pieces out before a lawsuit happens. Mark Woolley doesn't even take the job, quits a day before it starts. Hired gun mercenary group in the mix right now, collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars. Boyle's the one-time executive director of the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. He did that for almost 7 years, but lasted as city manager in Charlottesville for not even 10 months. The hired mercenary gun that is the Robert Bogg Group has now presented counsel at a closed-door session 3 names to whittle down, and that announcement could come in a mere hours. That's news you heard first here on the I Love CVille Network. Neil Williamson, president of the Free Enterprise Forum. Love Neil Williamson. Neil Williamson gets 1 chest bump flying. Prior to Maurice Jones, Charlottesville had 2 city managers for 40 years. Since Maurice Jones, we have had Mo Jones, Mike Murphy, Dr. Richardson, John Blair, Chip Boyles, that's 5. Mark Woolley, I'm going to include him in the mix. We had the pomp and circumstance of that fiasco, so he gets included in the mix. That's 6 with Wools. M. Wools is 6. Marky Woolley, not much of a character guy there. Hired gun mercenary group, Robert Bogg Group, 7. And a name about to be announced today, 8. We have 8 city managers, from Mo Jones to the name that could be announced as early today. And the name that's going to be announced as early as today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is going to have the interim label. The interim label. So you could potentially have 9. Lloyd Snook, mayor of Charlottesville, it's his mission. He has said on the record to get a manager, city manager, permanent, and prioritize it immediately. All right. I was not going to lead with that today on the show, but when it's 12:26 and I'm getting text messages from multiple employees in City Hall about what's going on, I shift the rundown that's on the screen, look at the topics on screen, and I make this the lead. The show is streamed inside local government, this one. All right. Whew. Hell of a way to start today's program. Let's talk various corridors. That's a tough word for me to say. Corridor. Judah Wickower, show you're a handsome mug over there. 2 shot. Wave to your adoring fans. Give them blow them a kiss in the air if you can. Yeah, you look sharp, J-Dubs. Isn't corridor a difficult word? Corridor? It's an awkward word.
Corridor.
Corridor. Am I adding an extra syllable? Corridor.
No, you're just...
I'm emphasizing the middle syllable.
Yeah, and the last syllable you're kind of giving up a little bit on it.
Synonyms for corridor. Areas.
Corridor is like a hall.
Yeah, like an area. All right, I've called the...
Area.
What's that?
It's a hall. A corridor is like a long... It is an area, but it's specifically like a hallway area. It's like a long, drawn-out area.
Okay, let's go you're right, you're a wordsmith. We have that in common. A long passage in a building from which doors lead into rooms. I would say that's the definition of a hall.
That is.
That's the definition of a hall. A passage along the side of a railroad car, a belt of land linking 2 other areas or following a road or river.
Yeah.
So a belt of land.
But a belt is, by definition, kind of like a long stretch, like a hall.
Or a belt.
That's, yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is my take. 2 shot, bing, bam, boom, back and forth. The most underachieving belt of land in the city of Charlottesville, from what I can tell, underachieving, underperforming, needing some tremendous TLC, I'll call it the High Street Corridor. I'm going to say the belt of land that is primed to boom, Judah Wickower, is the Avon Street Corridor. And I got the idea for this topic from current City Attorney John Blair, attorney of Stanton, who left a comment on the I Love CVille Network yesterday that I found incredibly compelling. I'm going to rattle this off to you, Judah, and get your take. He says Avon is shaping up to be the Charlottesville corridor prime for growth in the next 5 years. When you think about the Lampo property that's for sale, the Fox's restaurant property that's for sale, the lot next to Fox's restaurant, the Bridge property. So you got Lampo building, right, Judah? You got the Bridge building right next to it. You know where that's located. You used to park around there, remember?
Yeah, you're talking about the arts.
The arts, the nonprofit. Okay. You got Fox's. We know where Fox's is. We got the land that is home to Fox's, the land that's home to the Bridge building, the land that's home to Lampo building, the lot next to the Fox's building. You agree with me?
Yeah, vaguely.
There's dirt next to Fox's that's for sale as well. John Blair continues, then you consider the lots near Guadalajara and the Tarleton Oak property. That's the gas station I was asking you about by High Street, Lexington Avenue.
That's the one in the corner that's not really in use. It's just got cars there.
I believe it's still in use. It's got a service center. It's got massive amounts of ivy growing on the wall.
But I don't think it's used as a gas station.
What is it used for?
Like you said, a service station maybe.
Okay,
Like
service
people are
station.
fixing up cars. I don't know what they do.
Service station. So John Blair continues, then the lots near Guadalajara, the Tarleton Oak property, wow, depending on the development, that could completely remake the area immediately east of downtown Charlottesville. We obviously have to get through the Belmont Bridge development. And knowing Charlottesville, that's going to take
10 years.
10 years? Okay, you say 10 years. Hope to God it's not 10 years.
I hope it doesn't.
How much millions of taxpayer dollars is that going to run us?
You'd have to ask someone more knowledgeable about those things than I.
A plethora. We could say a plethora of tax dollars. A wealth of years. But dude, can you consider Tarleton Oak gas station, the Guadalajara Lucky 7, right?
Are those getting sold and torn down?
Guadalajara Lucky 7, the future's uncertain. That was going to be home to the parking garage.
2 years ago?
Remember, the city bought that, the Guadalajara Lucky 7. Now they're saying it's not going to be a parking garage. Lloyd Snook, mayor of Charlottesville, was on the show on Friday saying it's not going to be a parking garage now. But the city's not in the business of owning land and doing nothing with it.
So what would they, I mean, they're not going to build restaurants.
I mean, if you're the city of Charlottesville, don't you want to get the hell out of land ownership? And instead of maintaining the land and having it on your balance sheet, wouldn't you prefer to sell it to somebody, have them do something with it, and then recoup the real estate taxes and the business taxes, or the residential taxes, the commercial taxes that come with it?
Sure.
I mean, the land's not, the city doesn't want to be in the business of owning land. They want to be in the business of scraping percentage of taxes off land ownership from private citizens. That's called government. Then you got Lampo, the Bridge, Fox's, and the lot next to it. I mean, my gosh, Judah Wickhauer, what is your brain, which is big and beautiful, envision for that? You used to park under the Belmont Bridge back in the day, remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
What would you do with that corridor? That belt of land, that hallway of real estate?
I mean, there were some, I seem to remember some like concept drawings of what they wanted to do with the bridge. I don't know if they're just gonna, have they just fallen back on the bare necessities? Are they just rebuilding the bridge?
I mean, the bridge has changed, has seen many different reiterations, many different iterations, I should say.
Okay, but my question is, are they actually planning on doing anything with it, or
Yeah.
are they just rebuilding the bridge? Do we know?
The Belmont Bridge, and Neil Williamson, you can help me with this. In fact, let's go straight to the website. BelmontBridge.com, BelmontBridge.org, BelmontBridge.org. The City of Charlottesville granted Catton Construction Group a notice to proceed to allow for construction activities to begin, including early activities of contractor mobilization, erection of temporary work zone signage, documentation of existing conditions, surveying, and more. That's just a lot of mumbo jumbo for
That's what I was going to say.
construction. That's a lot of unnecessary verbiage. Once that project is done, your most promising and full of incredible potential belt, hallway, or corridor of real estate is from Tarleton Oak Service Center to the lot just next to Fox's Cafe. And that includes the Belmont Bridge reimagination.
If there is one.
There is going to be one. It's going to be an expansion and widening of lanes.
Okay.
So, because right now it's a cluster duck, quack, quack, quack.
Yeah, right now it is, but
That is the most promising piece of real estate in Charlottesville. John Blair puts that on my medulla oblongata yesterday in the I Love CVille Network. Interestingly, it's adjacent to the most underachieving, underperforming corridor beltway of land, the High Street corridor. I mean, you go from Lexington Avenue or Tarleton Oak Service Center to Freebridge. I mean, what do you think? That's about a mile stretch, roughly. I mean, the potential and promise there and the actuality of what it is. Can you name an area in the city of Charlottesville that's more underperforming or underutilized than that? That's so close to an epicenter of commerce and employment downtown?
Cherry.
Cherry's a good answer. Cherry's a good answer. And that's why we did the two-shot with you.
I mean, like
From Tonsler Park to the hospital.
Like High Street, La Michoacana. I mean, I love going there.
I love Fabio's. We love the Fabio's guys.
Yeah, Fabio's. I can't think of anything any reason why I would go to Cherry unless I was passing through to go somewhere else.
You got that popsicle place next to the laundromat.
They sell popsicles.
You're telling me you're not playing 3-on-3 basketball at Tonsler Park? With those hops, that quickness, those handles, and that silky smooth jump shot from downtown that you possess?
That's the corner, right? The corner of
That's
Cherry and...
Yeah, I'd say Tonsler's the start of Cherry.
Yeah.
Tonsler does have the benefit of the UVA hospital.
But you don't even really have
Or
to...
Cherry.
You don't really have to even go on Cherry to get there. I mean, the parking is off of 5th Street.
That would be Ridge, right? I think it's Ridge at that point. Ridge turns into 5th.
I don't know.
UVA Hospital
This town
is a cluster duck, quack, quack, quack. Schizophrenic to say the least. All right, so let's do this. So that could be a topic for tomorrow's show. I'm curious of your take, listeners and viewers. Which corridor or belt of land is more underperforming or underachieving? The Cherry Avenue corridor or the High Street corridor? Both have close proximity to downtown. Both have a major employer located in the midst of the corridor, CFA Institute on High Street, UVA Hospital on Cherry. Both need TLC and seem to be somewhat forgotten.
Well, we know why High Street's forgotten, right?
Why?
I mean, wasn't there a big production going up there and it got left behind?
Tell me that.
I'm thinking of something else.
I don't follow what you're saying.
I thought somebody was putting something up on High and...
There's a medical facility going there, Centera.
Finally just said, screw it.
No, I think you're thinking of Woodard on Water Street,
Yeah, probably.
home of the city market, where he walked away from $2 million of underground infrastructure.
Yeah.
What is more underachieving? That is a $1 million question. Let's write that down for tomorrow. High Street or Cherry Avenue corridor, which of those two are the most underachieving, underperforming corridors in the city of Charlottesville? That is a topic for tomorrow. News from Virginia Tech and James Madison University quickly. Then we're going to rattle off some businesses that are for sale in Charlottesville. Guys, businesses are going on the market left and right in this community for sale. First, Virginia Tech and James Madison University news. Both institutions of higher learning will offer spring semester in in-person fashion. JMU's president saying we're going to have to live with COVID forever. It is what it is. And Virginia Tech's president calling the pandemic now an endemic. An endemic. Virginia Tech and JMU, business as usual this spring semester with in-person learning in Blacksburg and Harrisonburg. Now, businesses that are for sale. This gets the juices flowing for viewers and listeners, including yours truly as well. Kilwin's We posted this on the I Love CVille Network right before the show started, and it's going viral, like much of our content does. Kilwin's asking price, $249,500, Judah. I'm going to say this to you, okay? Are you ready for this? I want your immediate reaction. There's a business for sale on the downtown mall. The business does not own the real estate. It has a lease. The business sells frozen treats that are delicious, sweets that are delicious. The business is in a saturated market downtown. And the business has some ice creams and some chocolates, some uniforms, some intellectual property, and a national brand as the IP it's selling for $250,000. What immediately comes to mind? They don't own the real estate. Don't hold back.
What immediately comes to mind? I mean, it's a tough sell.
250K seems steep.
You obviously have to, you obviously have to show proof that that they can recoup that money and make it work.
250K is
might
by.
Have to do a fair bit of convincing as to why you're letting it go, if it's worth 250K.
Okay.
And
You're buying a territory. You're buying territory rights. Franchise.
Yeah.
Buying territory rights. It's a good location, heart of the mall. Granted, you don't own the building.
yeah, and like we mentioned the other day, it's you got Chaps a few doors down to one side,
And Tony owns the building, so he can undercut you on price because he doesn't have the same overhead as you do, because your commercial real estate overhead is going up points every year, where Tony, he owns the property and can fix that. In fact, he has no debt on that building. T doesn't.
yeah.
$250,000, what would you do with it? Buy that business? Put it in the equities market? Stockpile it under the Judah Wickower California King mattress? If the boats are rocking, don't come a knocking.
That's a tough question. I mean, if I wanted to start a candy business, it might be cheaper to take that money and just start your own IP.
Judah Wickower. Judah Wickower. Smart. And we love Kip and Jessica.
Yeah.
It's important to emphasize that. But we're also realistic folks. We're also realistic folks. So $250 for Kilwins. How about this one that's for sale? Saw this online. Got tipped off by a viewer that sent this my way. There's a personal chef business in the Charlottesville, Albemarle, Afton area with an asking price of $65K. The personal chef business is 10 years old. The listing says it serves Charlottesville and Albemarle County for weekday meal prep. One-person shop. Established client base. This is what you're getting for the $65,000 asking price. Established client base of emails and addresses. Systems for running the business. Help obtaining local business license. Dude, that is not hard to obtain a local business license. 3 months of Zoom consultation following your purchase. The owner will help you book appointments for 1 to 4 months so you have income right away. And some client recipes. 65 G's. What goes through your mind? Personal chef business. It seems the only IP you're buying right now is the database of emails and customer addresses.
I mean, I'm not even sure what they do. Is that
They make food and meals for clients. Personal chef business.
Is this like a?
It's the Charlottesville version of Blue Apron.
I don't know. Is that like a concierge chef?
Did you create a space of business right there? The concierge chef. I think the concierge chef is the personal chef. Is it not?
Yeah,
Is it concierge chef synonymous with personal chef?
But not like I always cook for Joe Blow in his mansion. It's like got a concierge business. People call me up, hey, I've got an event, and I want to have a personal chef there. And so I'm guessing. I have no idea what this business is.
$65,000. You and I have work in the branding business, advertising agency. We drive revenue and build brands for clients. Enhanced brand awareness translates into what?
ROI.
Enhanced brand awareness translates into what?
Enhanced brand awareness leads to what? More customers?
Yes! More customers leads to what?
More money?
Simple formula. More brand awareness, more customers, more revenue. 65 G's. What can we build a business and drive customers for that business within 3 to 6 months immediately? Fraction of that. Am I right? And have we not proven it over 10 years of doing it?
I'm not the money guy. I don't see any.
The answer is hell yes. You say that with confidence and conviction. Say hell yes.
Yes.
Hell yes. Hell yes we have. All right, the next business for sale, Morsel Compass in Crozet.
Wait, so that's it on the
more to come. Okay, you want to go down the road more?
No, I'm just still
Would you
curious about what it is.
Would you spend 65 G's for a personal chef business?
I would need to know more about it than just that it's a personal chef biz.
Morsel Compass is now for sale. Food truck turn brick and mortar in Crozet. Morsel Compass is now for sale. Along with Morsel Compass for sale, we also have Iron Poffles and Coffee for sale, which we reported a couple weeks ago. First to report that news. Judah, off the top of my head, and the last short period of time. Now, Bounce Play and Create's been on the market for an extended period of time. Before the pandemic, Bounce Play and Create was on the market for sale. You got Kilwins. You got Bounce Play and Create. You got Iron Poffles and Coffee. You got Hotcakes, which we reported to everyone before Christmas that Hotcakes was for sale. I think around the Thanksgiving Day mark in Barracks Road Shopping Center. You got Morsel Compass. You got Jack Shop Kitchen in Ruckersville. The question I have before we get to the Antonio Banderas of Finance, Alex Urpí, CEO of Emergent Financial Services, why, oh why, I got a take, I'm curious of yours first. Are all these businesses going on the market for sale?
I think that maybe people are looking to cash out and try something different. I mean, I think it's better. I think it's better to see them on sale than it is to see them going out of business. And you know, I think people running small businesses have had a shit time the last year and a half, and now might be the time that they're just deciding, you know, we're far enough out of the pandemic. It's an endemic now.
According to Virginia Tech president.
Yeah, so we're out of the pandemic, into the endemic. Maybe it's time to sell the business and take some time off.
Okay, here's my take. Not a bad take from you. Here's my take. Good take. I think I may have a slightly better take, but I thought your take was excellent. I'm not knocking your take. I'm not knocking your take. I thought your take was good. The PPP money's run dry. There's no more handouts from the government. It's extremely difficult to find labor right now. It's been dubbed by the national media the Great Resignation. Cost of goods are at astronomical levels. The cost of goods are so high that local businesses, mom and pops in particular, because they don't have the economies of scale and vertically integrated built-in efficiencies, are having to raise menu prices. And that enhanced menu price increase
It's cutting into their customer base.
is cutting into their customer base. Wages are not keeping speed with inflation. So the consumer is much more with their dollars, much more cautious with spending their disposable income. As a result, the mom and pop, in particular in the F&B space, is perhaps a bit bearish with the next 12 to 24 months of their lifestyle business as opposed to a company. Now, I would wager that selling now in January, Keith, you're spelling Judah's name wrong. It's Judah. It's not Judha. We got to get that right. I would wager that now is not the time to list your business for sale, boys and girls, viewers and listeners. Omicron is raging. Disposable income is getting flat. Consumer confidence is fragile. Inflation is real. And I don't know about you, but Jerome Powell, I don't have much confidence in.
I don't know that anyone does.
What's that?
I don't know that anyone does.
Who has confidence in Jay Powell? Alex Urpí from the green room says, not me. That's the first question I'm asking Urpí in a matter of minutes here. No, I love freaking Urpí so much. Not me. You heard that, right?
I heard that.
Yeah, I have no confidence in Jay
I'd
Powell.
have been surprised if I heard anything else.
I have no confidence in Jerome Powell. Pump trillions of dollars into the American economy, devalue the dollar, do press conferences at a time when the economy is fragile, sink the equities markets in the first week and change of 2022, January an indicator of how the entire year generally performs. Jay Powell, ¿qué estás haciendo? You know what? Let's get Alex Urpí. Alex. I gotta ask you about these businesses that are for sale. I can't wait to hear it. Let's go a 3-shot with Urpí, Judha, and Jerry Miller here. Let us know when Alex Urpí is the CEO of Emergent Financial Services. Emergent Financial Services is a team of family. Xavier, Michael, Nicholas, I love you, Nicholas, and Alex. These 4 men, high integrity, hardworking, super innovative, creative, conservative. I'd say those are all good descriptions.
All good descriptions, yep.
Emergent Financial Services to build your wealth. Are we on a 3-shot, J-Dubs?
No, I'm setting up this 2-shot first, and then we'll get the...
Okay, 2-shot with me and Alex. Give me the thumbs up when the Antonio Banderas of Finance is on. He's on?
Yeah, he's on.
Okay, the Antonio Banderas of Finance is on right here. What do you make of these businesses all coming on the market at the same time?
It's interesting. I was trying to remember the list you were doing. Are they all food-based?
Bounce, Play, and Create is not.
Okay.
That's in, is that Seminole or Albemarle Square? I get those two confused. That's Seminole Square? Thank you, J-Dubs. Go 3-shot. Let us know when the Trips is on. But every single else one is food-based.
It's food-based, which is not really surprising. I mean, that's the hardest to find labor for right now. I mean, you have even restaurants I see around town that are still, operating, they're not selling or anything, some days they have to cut their hours. So they have to change what days they're open because it's so hard to find labor. And like you said, inflation is hitting food extremely hard. So now your profit margin is squeezed. If you raise prices, everyone thinks that you're greedy and doesn't come to your restaurant anymore. So it's just
you have to work harder than ever.
Work harder than ever because you're the backstop, right? When you're the owner, if Johnny calls in and says, "Hey, I'm not coming to work today. I don't feel like working anymore." Guess who's going in the kitchen and getting it done? You have to do it. And so it doesn't surprise me that if you're in a food-based business with things having recovered enough that you don't have to just shutter your business, that you see if you can sell it for something.
Why is it being listed for sale now in January? It seems like arguably the worst time possible. Credit card debt has never been higher post-Christmas. Equities are down right now. Now, they had a hell of a year last year. They had a hell of a year the year before that.
They did.
January's been chopped.
January's been a little choppy.
A little choppy in January. Okay. We got interest rates going up. Mm-hmm. You're going to need to get a loan most likely to afford some of these purchases.
Which may be the now. You sell before interest rates go up.
Okay.
After interest rates go up, it becomes much more difficult.
Okay, let's go down that road. So why do you say they're going on here? Is it just burnt out owners?
It's tough to know. I mean, each one could be a totally different rationale, but it wouldn't surprise me, given the difficulty of running the business in this space right now, that you sit there and say, okay, it's no longer in the midst of the pandemic such that I need to shutter my doors. I now have the opportunity that maybe there is someone out there who's willing to purchase my restaurant because I don't want to do this anymore, or it's becoming rather difficult to do. Also tough to say. I mean, sometimes I think what happens is, and I think we saw this a couple times in the midst of the pandemic even, where there were some restaurants that closed, but you sensed that the owners were really retiring. In other words, it wasn't that they couldn't come back afterwards, but you sit there and say, I was thinking of retiring and putting it off. This seems like as good a time as any to retire. So you could sit there and say, I was thinking of selling and putting it off. Now's as good a time as any to just get out.
Challenging question for you. Challenging but fair. You're smart, one of the smartest men I know. Okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
$250,000 for Kilwin's on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall.
So
what immediately comes to mind? You're obviously buying a territory.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm off a little, but that seems to me not to be a little on the low, like low enough that I wonder about it. And only because I mean this, right? That place, I always see a large line of people, like especially in the summer. So I'm wondering, like, how are they not making a bunch of money such that if you multiply, if they're selling there at a multiple of earnings, that's it. See what I'm saying? Because the only thing going there is multiple of earnings. But as you said, they don't own the land.
They don't own the real estate. They don't own the building.
They own the. So
they have a long-term lease, it says in the listing.
Yeah, I'm just a little curious. Like, what's not? Is it that the owners are ready to move on to something else, or like why is it not translating to, making a killing in that place? It always seems.
Devil's advocate with you.
Go for it.
Okay, devil's advocate. Little bull and bear here. J-Dubs, you jump in the mix when something tickles your fancy, my friend. The triangle of content has never been better with Alex Urpí in the isosceles. Is this an isosceles triangle? No, this is a.
This looks like an equilateral.
This
triangle.
is an equilateral triangle.
Assuming that the distance from me to Judah and you to me is the same.
I love Alex Urpí. God, I love the Urpí so much. This is an equilateral triangle. Okay, thank you. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What is that?
Well, that would be that's a right triangle.
That is a right triangle. What is the name of that theorem?
Oh, Pythagorean theorem.
That's my boy, Alex
Yes.
Urpí. He's so smart. Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate with my boy, the Antonio Banderas of finance. You have with Kilwin's at $250K, the sales cycle is probably in this area, April, I'll give it to Christmas because you got people shopping.
Okay.
Downtown. You got end of December, January, February, and March, and probably half of April, where foot traffic downtown is not existent.
Exactly.
So you got to make your money then. April 15th, tax day, to Christmas. Mm-hmm. Fair?
No, that's fair.
Okay. Then you can make a legitimate call that ice cream and cold stuff loses its appeal when the weather gets chillier. Mm-hmm. Fair?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm guessing, given Charlottesville, what are you talking, peak is what, May to September?
May to September, yeah. Then you get the students coming back, you get some uptick, you get the home football games in the fall, and you get Fridays after 5 in the fall. Mm-hmm. Okay. $250K, potential client comes to the closer, Xavier Urpí, the social media ninja, Nicholas Urpí, the Antonio Banderas of finance, who just got a fresh haircut and a beard trim. I can tell you're looking dapper.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael, you need a nickname. We haven't given you a nickname yet. We need to give you a nickname.
We'll have to
Michael.
contemplate that.
We got to contemplate. What do you say to the potential client?
Who comes to me asking,
Should I do this?
should I do this? Well, see, the issue for me, something like a business like this, I feel like do you really want to, like, is your dream to operate a ice cream store? I mean, if you're looking investment wise with $250K, I'm not sure private equity has its own really big risk. You have to be very confident that you go in there. The way I always see it as with private equity, which is essentially what this is, you're buying a private company. with private equity, the way it works is you need to have a very strong belief that you can squeeze more profit out of the current operations of this company than the current owners are. Otherwise, what are you trading? You're trading, just making a trade off of years. In other words, you sit there and say, I'm paying $250K. How many years worth of earnings is that?
There it is.
Right? And that's what you're trading. But it only works, right? Private equity only works if you sit there and say, whatever those current earnings are, I think I can make more than them. In other words, doing the same with this, with the same company, the same assets, whatever intellectual property is there, I can squeeze more earnings out of this company than its previous owners were doing. Otherwise, you don't make that. No private equity person makes that investment, because otherwise you're just it's a blanket trade-off. And in the middle of an inflation environment, if let's say, just throwing a number, let's say it's 5 years worth of earnings, you sit there and say, I'm making no money for 5 years. In fact, I'm losing.
You're losing money because of inflation.
Right? So you need to be, the only reason you do that, something like this, is to say, I've looked at their books, I've looked at how they're making money, I believe that if I do X, Y, and Z, sometimes it's management skills, sometimes it's marketing skills, whatever skills you personally bring to the table, that I can in fact improve the profit margin of this company. Otherwise, you don't make the move merely as an investment. Oh, it'll be worth more in the future. No. You have to be very confident that you, as the manager of this company, as the owner/manager of this company, will find some kind of edge in profit margin to improve it. Otherwise, you don't make that move.
The equilateral triangle of content. Get ready to say something smart or ask a smart question, okay? No pressure. All right, I'm going to throw one follow-up question so you can have some time to think about. If it's a non-on-site owner-operated, does it make it more appealing in that scenario? Or do you say no, because then you're going to have to hire a manager at tens of thousands of dollars, and you're better off just absorbing that cost as an on-site owner-operator?
You have to have, for me personally, and I think probably this comes down to also your personal, if I don't have a manager lined up already,
you don't make the purchase.
I don't make the purchase. I'm not done. You don't make the purchase with the intention of not running it for yourself and then say, now let me go find someone who will run it and get more value out of it. You have someone lined up, either yourself or the manager who you've talked with, and have an idea, okay, yeah, here's how you get some more profit out of this, or you don't make. I don't think you go into this blind and say, yeah, I'm going to buy it, and then I'll figure out who can squeeze more earnings out of it.
I'm in agreement with Urpí right there, 100%. J-Dubs, what's on that brain?
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna pile on to one of your first comments in that this really has to be, and it's not just with Kilwin's, but with Iron Poffles and any of these businesses. It's got to be a dream, either to own a candy business or a Poffle business, or to run a candy business or a Poffle business, and you really have to look at how it's got to be an investment, because like you said, if you've got to see, how long is it going to be before it becomes profitable for you.
Muy bueno, chico.
It really has to be your heart's desire to do something like that, to make it work, and to know that you're gonna put the next 5, 10, 20 years of your life into that passion.
Flying chest bump for Judah Wickhauer. Muy bueno. Kilwin's, Iron Poffles and Coffee, Morsel Compass in Crozet, Jack Shop Kitchen in Ruckersville, maybe the Hotcakes, although I believe the Hotcakes is now
too.
Jack Shop Kitchen in Ruckersville.
I went there for the first time over Christmas.
For sale. How do you assess?
Huh?
And also the last time.
If they do the same thing to a new owner.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so how do you assess the market? Or how do you offer consultation? What's the consultation you would offer if someone said, Kilwin's, I'll even throw Bounce, Play, and Create. Belcher, Steve, and Monique, Happy Cook owners, own Bounce, Play, and Create. So you got Kilwin's, Bounce, Play, and Create, Iron Poffles and Coffee, Hotcakes, Morsel Compass and Crozet, Jack Shop Kitchen in Ruckersville. There's also another business downtown Charlottesville that I am not going to mention the name because I got too much respect for this particular scenario to mention it. How would you offer consultation for those right there on whether or not one should consider buying one of these businesses? What's the flip book you would offer? You would guide your clients to?
Ooh, That's a good question. I think again it comes down to your expertise. In other words, you can't go beyond your expertise, and that can include expertise in finding people. In other words, expertise in bringing on team members who have what is necessary to do this. But again, you got to be able to look at this, look at the market, and say, here is specifically where I think you can't. Well, my number one thing would, you don't bet on a reversion to the mean here.
What's that mean?
With stocks, reversion to the mean means if something, let's say, goes down 10%, right? You figure at some point it might come back. It might have to go back and get back to where, and you see what stocks a lot. Let's say over the last over 52 weeks, the mean price of a stock is $50, and then suddenly it drops to 30. Barring something that has happened with the company, a dramatic change, some people will sit there and say, oh, there's a reversion to the mean. At some point, it's going to go back to the 52-week average it was trading at. And the difference between there is a lot of times with the market you can do that. In other words, if the market takes a dip, yeah, sometimes you go in to buy low in the market and you diversify, you go in, you buy low. You don't sit there and say, well, it could go down forever because it's the market. It's not going to. Right? The value of the market will not decline forever. It will bounce back. When you enter the world of private equity, you can't just be sitting there saying, okay, things are really bad for the restaurant industry right now because of all these headwinds that we've been talking about. But if I just buy this, it'll bounce back. That can't be the rationale, because you're talking about a very specific business. You're no longer talking what we call systemic risk of, the market is market risk, right? Your risk is that there's a recession, that's something, a black swan event. When you go to individual companies like this, you have market risk, which is the restaurant industry, but now you've got the specific risk of the company. Where is it, of the business? Where is it located?
Code building, construction on Water Street,
construction?
maybe impacting foot traffic to Iron Popples and Coffee.
Exactly. You have very specific things, and so you can't just go for it. Okay, maybe this restaurant is undervalued right now. If I buy it and hold, there's no buy and hold here. There's buy, and you better have a specific plan for how you intend to generate more income off this. Because let's face it, a business is like this. When you buy a business like this, your profit is cash flow, right? Because higher cash flow either goes straight into your pocket or makes the company more valuable when you flip it to the next person. But selling, as we all know, selling a small business is not as easy as selling a stock. It's not like it goes up 10%, you flip it, and you press sell, and now you're done. There's a cost involved there, so you need to have a very large gain on the value of a company if you're talking flip. So you're talking cash flow here. So you need to have a very good idea of how you intend to generate more cash flow from this investment. You can't just be sitting here, let me buy and hold, market slow, it'll go up. And that's where I would counsel people differently if they're talking about this rather than, do I invest in the market or do I invest in a private company?
What, follow-up question, you're helping negotiate the deal. What do you need to see? Paperwork before you make an offer. And you're a shrewd man. You're not coming in asking.
Yeah, see, this brings up my personal beef with private equity as an investment in general.
Okay.
Because so often with private equity, you have the back, in other words, you have the financial statements from the past, your cash flow, income statement, balance sheet. And then, of course, you've got your pro forma, which is, pro forma is like looking forward. Here's what I think will happen over the next 12 months. And as Xavier will tell you, I look at pro forma and I'm like, it's all funny business. In other words,
it's a guessing
game. I have
game.
no idea what's going to happen
over
the next 12 months. So how do you make a decision on that? So that's the very high risk that comes into play with private equity. Granted, there can be major returns, right? I mean, if you successfully turn a restaurant that's doing okay and you turn it into a great restaurant, yeah, you'll have a very large return at some point, but there's a very big risk. So you just need to pore over those books like crazy and figure out what do you need to change and what you can change to get more out of it. But the way this is going to work, right? The price here is based on some multiple of current earnings. Right, that's how usually a private equity sale works. All right, here's what you got: assets plus some number of years worth of what we have been earning in the past. Your challenge here is what number is the seller using? Because we just went through two
You're talking
very bad years.
F&B, or okay.
No, I'm
So you're
thinking
alluding
like-
to that and
I'm
not
alluding-
cash.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm alluding to when you looked at their profit and loss statement. Let's face it, I can't imagine the owners of these current restaurants are saying, yeah, use my 2020 and 2021 numbers.
They're referencing 19
As
numbers.
I'm sure they're going to be using 2019, 2018
Yeah.
numbers. So then it's you as the buyer who has to sit there and say, well, where's the reflection of reality, right? It won't be as bad as 2020, you hope, right? But it's not, there's no way it's back to 2019, 2018 numbers. So you need to now sit there and say, all right, here's the current asking price, here's the numbers it's based on, what do I reasonably expect is my starting point for 2022 or from the time I purchase it, profit and loss. Because that's the point at which you need to now say, all right, what more can I make off this? And where this is a very challenging time, I would imagine, to buy a business. Because you're sitting there, you're kind of blind on the data in terms of when you're looking at a profit and loss, like how much profit and loss is actually going to be there, because it could be much better than 2021, 2020 numbers, but at the same time, there's no guarantee that it is.
So you got Ornalis watching. Johnny Ornalis, $250K for a restaurant. Give me a comment on $250,000 asking for a restaurant.
Yeah, I'd
Johnny
love to
Ornalis.
know his thoughts.
Ornalis
Being that I
owns
was
2 restaurants.
Yeah, being that I was in the restaurant business, for me, valuation of restaurants is not something that is my specialty.
I'm curious of your thoughts, J.O. The Ninja offers this comment.
Ooh, what's he
And
got?
Judah Buddha is included in this comment. Okay, you ready for this, J-Dubs? Businesses love stability. Does the guest, who just happens to be his hermano, does the guest, Jerry and Judah Buddha, think that the instability of the previous council made the current business owners skeptical of the future regardless of the current regime change? J-Dubs in the mix right there. What's on the brain? Antonio Banderas, I'm going to ask you that one as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I would personally think that, instability or not, I would think that with certain changes that most people would be seeing a brighter future for businesses in Charlottesville, and certainly for business in general, as we won't be getting bombarded by negative messages from those on high.
I give you props on that. I 100% agree. So I will add that. I think the KPI of government instability is a positive one now with the new regime.
I think so too.
You think?
I do. Yeah, it's a little strange to me. I mean, I can't imagine you would sit there and say, I now feel more negative with the new city council than I did with the previous one, ergo I'm selling now.
Right.
I can't imagine that would be the rationale.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. The closer, Xavier, you know I love you, homie. He says, what we should be looking at, what are the earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, otherwise known as?
EBITDA.
Yeah.
EBITDA.
Very good
Yep.
comment right
Very.
there from the closer. Okay, so let me ask you this. On paper with just the eye test, and then I'm going to get your take on JPAL, and you and I have a conference call at 9 minutes, 1:45, our traditional Tuesday call.
We're on a lightning round here.
Lightning round. Of the ones, which one tickles your fancy more, strictly eye test? You don't have the revenues, you don't have the P&L, the pro forma, balance sheet, you don't see the leases, okay? Which one tickles your fancy the most?
I would probably lean towards Kilwin just because it literally is on the mall. 'Cause I think Iron Poffel is not literally on the mall.
It's on Water
Correct.
Street.
It's on
Yeah.
Water Street. I think being literally on the mall gives you a lot of potential. There's so much eye traffic there. I think the difference between being on the mall and being off to the side, I would imagine just as a pure eye test, not knowing how the marketing works for these, that's got to be a huge bonus.
Judah Wickower.
Yeah, I think that makes a massive difference. Being on the downtown mall, being practically in the center of the downtown mall, is miles even though it's probably only you could probably toss a rock from Iron Poffles and Coffee to
the downtown mall.
to Kilwin's.
We undoubtedly could.
I still think that's miles from being anywhere close to being even between them.
Okay, so 3 for 3. We all say Kilwins. Of all those that have been rattled off, we all say Kilwins. Which one is the least appealing?
We name them all again.
Yeah, which ones are we adding?
We have Kilwins, which we said was number 1.
Okay.
We have Iron Poffles and Coffee. We have Bounce, Play, and Create. Hot Cakes and Barracks Road. Morsel, Compass, and Crozet. Jack Shop Kitchen in Ruckersville. Only one is not F&B, Bounce, Play, and Create. And you said that's Seminole?
Yeah, Seminole.
And
Square.
Seminole. J-Dubs, the least appealing for you. We got to go lightning round.
I don't really know anything about the last two, but I don't know. I think it's between Iron Poffles and Bounce, Play, and Create.
Okay, why?
Iron Poffles because it's just kind of off even though it's so close to the downtown mall, I still feel it's off the beaten path. And with Bounce, Play, and Create, I mean, even though I think a lot of us are coming to terms with the endemic now and aren't there's not that sense of terror. I still think there are enough people out there that make it a risky investment.
Judah Wickower, you brought A+ ammunition today. Dude, A+ ammunition. Hold on. That's the wrong sound effect. This is the sound effect I need. A+ ammunition.
There we
That's
go.
the wrong sound
There we
effect.
go.
Judah, seriously. Well done today. Very well done.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself.
Yeah,
on the
I couldn't have said
Bounce,
that.
Play, and Create. Plus, Seminole, I'm not. That area it just doesn't seem personally appealing to me on the eye test.
Yeah.
Is all I can say.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bounce, Play, and Create as well for exactly what JW just said right there. We just don't, there's too
Yeah.
much uncertainty. You're talking about an inside space where people are jumping on top of each other, kids.
Not just people, but where adults would be bringing their children, and so it's not just about people,
Young children, unvaccinated
it's
children.
not just about people feeling safe going there. It's about people feeling safe bringing their children there.
And often, and that demo is the 5 and under demo in a lot of ways. The unvaccinated demo.
Plus, I mean, maybe I'm a little bit of a germaphobe, but it seems like a germy idea to me even before the pandemic. Like, I'm not sure I would have taken my kids
are
there.
messy little creatures, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I would have taken my kids there in flu season either before there was a pandemic. So,
Wait till you have some beautiful Antonio Banderas of your own.
And then they
you
wanna
have
go.
you have no idea
And
what
then they
we have to
wanna
go
go
through. I had to clean the diaper, and you know what? Got all over my hands, and it was not pretty. Dad was screaming. Dad was screaming, and Mom was like, "Dude, this is my everyday. Stop being a wuss." That's literally what she said to me. J Powell, what the hell is J Powell doing, Alex Urpy?
I'm not even sure Jay Powell knows what Jay
What is he
Powell's
doing?
I mean, look at the absurdity of this, right? They're talking 3 rate hikes, which my dad is about to write a great commentary on this, and I'm sure he might even comment on down here. They're contemplating 3 rate hikes, possibly a few more next year, right? But 3 this year, which pushes the rate up to around what is it? It'll go to 0.75%. Inflation is at 6 in the CPI and 9 in the PPI. So that's producer price. So the producers are seeing 9% inflation, which may eventually end up in the CPI as well. It's tough to know. What possible impact will 0.75% interest rates have on 6% inflation? If you recall the 70s, the last time we had inflation, do you realize what they had to raise interest rates to kill inflation? My dad loves to talk about the 15% mortgage. Right? So the idea that the Federal Reserve, Powell, by saying, oh yeah, we're going to stop tapering, and only when we have stopped tapering will we then raise rates, maybe 3 times this year, to 0.75%, and this will magically stop inflation, which is running at 6. You sit there and say, in what universe? That's economics 101. That those 2 things will have no effect on each other. So you'll sit there, he'll spook the markets,
Which he has.
with the rate hike talk, only for inflation, because the issue with inflation is not that rates are at 0 and they should be at 0.75. I mean, if you want to kill inflation with rate hikes, then your rate hike needs to be somewhere approximately in the area of what the inflation rate is running.
Which is what, 6.9, 6.9?
6.9, sit between 6 and 7 essentially, and with possibly a higher face by producers. So you sit there and say, it seems that he's just talking for the sake of talking. Because I think the issue is the Federal Reserve is between a rock and a hard place. They really have, I don't think they have any idea what exactly needs to be done to stop this inflation, because the cat was let out of the bag when we spent $4 trillion in the course of 6 months in 2020 and another one last year. And once you pump all that money into the system, you have clearly, for whatever reason out there, incentives for people to resign and not go back to work. The idea that the Federal Reserve can magically fix this is just not happening, but they can't admit it.
Alex Urpí, CEO of Emergent Financial Services. Johnny Ornalis for all three of us, the equilateral triangle of content. Johnny Ornalis says, if I would invest $250,000 into a restaurant, it would be a new location of my own, a new brand of my own, because the effort it takes to make an already working business is harder than making the business new from scratch. And the man is speaking from personal experience there.
Interesting. So that goes to a personal experience.
That's personal experience.
I would not have known that.
That's Guadalajara versus El Mariachi.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's personal experience.
Interesting.
So he's talking about launching from scratch. You get the novelty piece.
Mm-hmm. And you control the brand. There's no, that you decide how you want to build the brand, what your customer base is, what your niche is. When you buy something, it's true, you have a following that's already there. And so you need to figure out who is your audience right now, who's already following your brand, and how to capitalize on that. Whereas the other way, you build it.
90 seconds from the VIP conference call, Tuesdays at 1:45. 30 seconds for Alex Urpí for Today y Mañana, Thursdays at 10:15 a.m. right here on the I Love CVille Network.
Two awesome guests. We're going to have Johan Torres from GBS Financial Services. He's going to talk taxes with us. He's an accountant here in Charlottesville. He's going to talk just things to be looking out for, what to be preparing for before April 15th, things that he's seen. And also Stephanie Devada from CVille Picnic is going to talk about the things she's doing in town, which if you've seen, it's amazing what she pulls off. Even in the winter, you would say, how can you do a picnic in the winter? You can, and it looks awesome, and she'll come and tell us about it. Alex
Urpí, Xavier Urpí, Thursday, 10:15 a.m. Today y Mañana, one of the best shows in the Commonwealth of Virginia, guys, presented by Emergent Financial Services. Find them online. You're amazing. He had no idea what he was going to talk about today.
I love the equilateral triangle.
The equilateral triangle of content crushed it today. T-minus 25 seconds to our conference call. I wish you farewell, my friend. Thank you.
All the best. Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Guys, this is the I Love CVille Show. Tomorrow, the hot topic of conversation will be Cherry Avenue versus High Street, the most underperforming or underachieving corridor in the city of Charlottesville. We will compare and contrast. For Alex Urpí, for Judah Wickhauer, my name is Jerry Miller. T-minus 19 seconds for the conference call. We're going to make it in time. Hasta luego. Take care. Conference call.